Mr. Yaninen. 2019, Mr. Gore was here, and he plated up 40 issues that SMEs are facing, and he presented it to our Prime Minister. And our Prime Minister took on the stewardship of this country in a very difficult time. Nobody told him COVID was after, and everything else spilled over. They've addressed a few things, and we SMEs are pleased with one. I acknowledge on taxation and that. But as our President, what's still out there? Just want to hear you for the next 3 to 5 minutes.
Thank you. Thank you, Andrew. And congratulations on this being the 7th breakfast. You and your team are doing a wonderful job. I acknowledge the Prime Minister and Tisa and all of you here in the room. I'm looking out and I can see everyone here, and thank you for your support. The very fact that you've given your morning to attend this is because you support the SME sector, and we should all applaud you. Thank you. Imi paiti manlo. Testing. Now, we've made a lot of progress. In fact, when people ask me the question, how do I get into SME? Today, my response, I've been in this space for almost 20 years. My response is that today, it's a lot more easier than it ever was before. Like, for example, right now, one of the things we talk about ease of doing business. Before, if you wanted to register a company, you would have to stand in a line, go to the bank, deposit into an account. Today, you can do it online with the IPA website. These are changes that we have today. So I acknowledge that, Clarence Hood and his team over there at IPA. Ease of doing business is now easier. Before, the biggest challenge that we had was the cost of borrowing in Papua New Guinea. The cost of borrowing was significantly higher than compared to the rest of the region. There was a study done in 2015 that compared Papua New Guinea to Indonesia, to Fiji, to Australia, New Zealand on the cost of borrowing. They found that Papua New Guinea's interest rates were so much higher than the rest of the region. Today, those interest rates have come down because of the interventions of the good Prime Minister with the credit enhancement scheme, with the concessional loans. This is quite significant. Looks a lot Islam. So it's quite easy today. One of the other reasons why SMEs were turned away before was because they couldn't provide collateral. You go to a bank is going to ask you to put up security. And that was something that was a huge problem. So the concept of the Credit Guarantee Corporation was birthed in 2012. In fact, it went to NEC 2012, it was approved, but nothing happened. 2012, 13, 14, 15, it took 10 years. And only in 2022, under the stewardship of Prime Minister Marape, that the Credit Guarantee Corporation was finally launched. And it started off with a 50 million kina seed investment from the government. And today, I can acknowledge CEO Dominic Sigikau and the team. Now they're able to provide guarantees to SMEs, which means that if you want to borrow, and if you don't have security, you can simply call on the Credit Guarantee Corporation together with all of the partner banks, and you'll be able to get funded. So these are all things that didn't exist before. Now, what problems are still out there? There's still a number of issues. Now, our good Prime Minister was talking about land. 97% of the land in Papua New Guinea is owned by the people of Papua New Guinea. You need to be able to develop your land to unlock its economic potential. Right now, with the titling system, the current title as a landowner, when you go and register land, you register an ILG. The title that you receive is called a COT, a Certificate of Title. The title comes with restrictions. So we need to look at a way of modifying that title, COT, that will make it acceptable to the banks, that will make it acceptable to partners that want to develop that. So that's one of the things that I've been in meetings where I'm hearing that there's a lot of progress being made by our good Deputy Prime Minister, the Lands Department, on how to modify those particular titles so that you can unlock the economic value in such a way that it'll be acceptable to banks. That's one of the things. Another thing which is a problem, and I'm glad there's a lot of banks here in this room, is that whenever there's a problem, we just complain about the problem, but we don't see a problem as an opportunity. This is a big opportunity right now. Right now, the credit terms for a number of businesses or clients is really long. You put an invoice, sometimes it'll take you 45 days for them to pay your invoice, 60 days, 90 days. Sometimes you wait for 3 months, you wait for 6 months. That's a problem. And banks, if you've got a loan and you don't pay between a certain time, you will default. They will come after you. They will sell your property. But in other countries in the world, they do something called invoice factoring or invoice trading, which means that if you have an invoice and people are supposed to pay you, but you can't wait for 45 days, you can't wait for 60 days, you can't wait for 90 days, you can actually go and trade that invoice and receive a discounted amount. Let's say your invoice, you expect to receive 20,000 kina. You can say, okay, I'm going to trade my invoice now. I'm happy to accept 18,000 kina. And then you trade that invoice. That's an opportunity. It happens all over the world. It doesn't happen in PNG. So SMEs today, they're going into severe cash flow problems right now, simply because they haven't been paid on time. And we blame the SMEs. We come after the SMEs. We punish the SMEs. But hey, it's an opportunity. Someone needs to create that product called invoice factoring, invoice trading, to allow SMEs to go and cash in the invoices instead of waiting for the entire credit terms. So that's one opportunity, challenge and opportunity that maybe you bankers in the room can look at. I know I've been talking for quite some time, and maybe the last thing that I want to say is that for everything to do with SME, please, there should be a one-stop shop. Right now, there's very little coordination. Everyone is doing their own thing. So the government agency is the SME Corporation. SME Corporation must be able to centralize all of that information. And not only centralize, they should be able to monitor. So SME Corporation must be empowered. And all of us here doing work in the SME space, we should be able to provide some kind of report back to SME Corporation so they see where we are and then inform government, inform budget, and then we get the support that we need. I'm very pleased to hear that the SME Corporation is working towards reforming to becoming the SME authority now, which will give it more powers to help regulate the space. That'll be really good. And maybe, so we need a one-stop shop for information. Right now, there's a lot of information, a lot of opportunities available for SMEs, but they simply don't know where to get it. The government owns, media like NBC, like MTV, all of these things. We should be using these media to communicate that information. And maybe the last thing I want to say is that there's a number of banks here. We have a concessional loan program championed by two banks, BSP and NDB. I think it should be expanded out to include a lot more of these banks in the room so that our people have more options. Thank you.
Absolutely.